2025 Giro d'Italia, Stage 6. Finish here in Naples, along the Bay of Naples. Back behind me, you see the city. Over that way, we have Vesuvius. I want to let you know that there's been some bad news. We have some stars that abandoned the race because there was a massive crash with 70 kilometers to go. First, this Giro d'Italia coverage is brought to you by Bicycle.com, the best place online to sell pre-owned bikes to cyclists worldwide. Head on over to bicycle.com/FloBikes to list your bikes in minutes and sell to cyclists worldwide and get your 30% off seller discount code. Well, the crash, we probably could have predicted this. Always around Naples, there's trouble. And as you can see, we had a little bit of rain today, at times heavy, but most of the time not so heavy. But the roads were slick out there. And at 70 kilometers to go, we think it was Jai Hindley who lost control first and hit the ground. And we saw riders all over the deck. Let me just tell you now, the worst off out of those riders, well, it was Jai Hindley. Also later we heard Jay Vine crash, UAE Team Emirates teammate of Juan Ayuso. Jai Hindley would be helping Primoz Roglic to try to win the race overall, and he's also a former race winner. And then we had two other riders, four in total, two other riders that we can confirm at this point who abandoned. Dion Smith from Intermarché, who, remember, he had that problem with the goat when we were in Albania. And also Jori Holmans abandoned as well. Earlier we thought that Joseph Cherney from Soudal Quickstep might abandon. We thought Paul Meunier might abandon. He looked like he had hit his head pretty hard. But they finished the stage today here in Naples. So good news of sorts for them, although they hit the ground. Also on the ground, Derek G. I spoke with him at the finish. He had cuts and stuff on his right leg. He said he's okay, so he's going to regroup for tomorrow. Also, pink jersey wearer Mads Pedersen hit hard on his right hip. I confirmed with him there in the mix zone afterwards. All sorts of trouble there, riders picking themselves up. In fact, the crash was so big, the race organizer decided to neutralize the race while everybody regrouped. Also, it's a problem with ambulances. There's not enough ambulances to treat all the riders. All this time, a 227 kilometer stage, around about 141 miles, we had two riders up the road, Enzo Paleni and Taco van der Hoorn. They held the gap for most of the day and they were managing it quite well. The crash back behind didn't suit their chances because Taco, well, he's an experienced rider with these sorts of escapes, and when things got reshuffled, they had to restart. They restarted with the same advantage, but the tactical games changed at that point. And they were picked up with around 2.5 kilometers to go. Now the organizer decided not to contest the GC, so all what was contested there on the finish line was the sprint. So the GC riders could ease off and not ride up there in the front on the slick road coming in here to Napoli. Instead, they let the sprinters be crazy if they wanted to. Now Mads Pedersen already had decided before even hearing that the points for the Ciclamino jersey wouldn't be contested as well, to just not go for it today. He had that little bit of pain on his hip and didn't want to risk it anymore. So he set up in that GC group, the pink jersey of Mads Pedersen. Up front, well, it was a sprint royale. All the other sprinters were there ready to party in the sense that they could do after all the bad news that we had out there on the road today. It was Alpecin de Koenig really setting things up. Also, Visma Lisa bike for Olaf Koy, Decathlon for Sam Bennett. The big teams were in there, and they still had to contend with the two up front, Enzo and Taco. Well, eventually Taco was distanced. It's not Taco Tuesday. In fact, I think it's Thursday at this point. Enzo ditched him on this last little kicker, but it didn't matter because the sprinters had him in sight, was going to do their job. At that point, Alpecin was leading out and doing quite well, and around one corner, Jimmy Janssens was just powering through, and Ed Plankart, both from Alpecin de Koenig, were going through there, and Eddie decided, no, I'm not going to risk it as much as Jimmy. So Jimmy got off the front and kept going with it, and well, the team maybe were deciding to let him go for it. At that point, we saw Wout van Aert go over the top and charge to probably try to bring him down for Olaf Koy, but then to have a shot for himself. Well, we spoke with him afterwards. I spoke with him there on the finish line and asked what was going on, and he said, well, it was a mistake. He thought the finish line was going to be closer, so it was going to be a good move, and it was the Wout van Aert of old, the one that was dominating the Tour de France, helping Primoz Roglic helping Jonas Vingegaard in the Tour de France. Well, he probably could have still made it stick, but he's still lacking that little bit of top end. Instead, he said it was a mistake and he should have stayed back there to help Olaf, but he didn't do that. Instead, Alpecin de Koenig regrouped without Jimmy Jansen, who's up the road. Ed Plankart just guided Kaden Groves right into the finish line. Already won a stage back here, I think it was 2023, and now picked up one in 2025. Massive victory for the Australian. And oh, let me tell you, he was emotional when I spoke with him right over there. We could see the tears in his eyes. Well, tears not coming down his face, but his eyes are seriously watered up. And I asked him, I said, you know, what goes through your mind? Obviously, you're an elite athlete, but you must have these thoughts going through your head. Do you still have it? And he said even on the start line today, he was thinking about that and wondering, you know, and trying to put these thoughts out of his mind. But he was able to do so, and he's riding right by over there. He's going to head back down to the bus. He's going to be super happy, and I'm sure on the bus they're going to celebrate with him. Yes. Caden was able to block out those thoughts and pick up an important victory for himself, proving he is one of those top-class sprinters. Now, Olaf Koy, who was riding in the Ciclamino jersey, just missed out today. Didn't have the powerhouse Van Aert, who had followed that move up the road. Unfortunate day for a lot of the riders out there, but we can celebrate victory, an emotional one for Kaden Groves on a wet and wild day. The Solis lose two big helpers for the teams, UAE Team Emirates with Jay Vine and Primoz Roglic. 2023 victor and top favorite here, loses Jai Hindley into the mix. But Kaden Groves on top in Naples as we close out stage 6 of the 2025 Giro d'Italia.